southwest, I believe. And I'm in a small town outside of Good Springs that's a little bit bigger than Good Springs.
Already.
It is.
Small town girl.
Living in a small town world.
Town Saturday night.
This casino is where I'm staying though. It's crazy. Like I'll post pictures and stuff, but there's a roller coaster like outside of the property.
Cool. That sounds like
Pretty
fun.
cool.
What's it
I mean,
called?
it's defunct. I will tell you later.
Yes,
Not
because we're
live.
live. Yes.
Oh yeah. You can put it in the
I mean,
chat.
not that anybody could come here and like attack me while I'm still here, but
You never know. You could have a fan there in Vegas.
Yeah, Davey is watching right now.
Yeah. Gotta watch out for that, Davey.
So we are. So with that, we are live again. This time with Marvel superheroes, modern age heroes. I take it we've decided who is going to do the notes for this particular game. Who took notes last time? Okay, Justin, you are on recap. So go ahead and let us know where we left off at.
So throughout the night, Carmen was putting together a scientific paper for teleportation while being esoteric enough, not that so people can steal her ideas. Helios is sounding creepy to a lot of people, and he also learned how to make coffee. So A+ from everybody else in our book.
Yeah. Sean loves him.
Angler is still being resolute in his opinion about the New Prussian people versus Jurgen.
Yep.
And he was asked to look over Strongford while the rest of the team might be in New Prussia. I'll get to that here in a moment using the word might. There's no additional data on the magical thorn from the plants that attacked. Ixion was a little upset about the genetic structure and looking for possible radiation treatments for his body manipulation, which has been on the fritz since Argentina. Sagan, Carmen, and her roommate moved into a house instead of an apartment now, so they have a little bit of elbow room. Collapsing Star, our alien overlord for our section of the galaxy. Sorry, human police officer who patrols the stars. Was advised of the rules of Waffle House.
That's right.
Justin couldn't help himself on that one. There's a crowd. We discussed food and stuff like that. He was very knowledgeable about everyone's species and notated that the last show that he was able to watch was I Love Lucy, and it confused other life forms in space. The Dextromites used to rule the known universe, and we were advised never to trust the hairless Tabaxian. I think I spelled that right, but I don't know. And the deal was Electrum would take care of Earth, and it was basically to be left alone, and that's how we were kept safe from the greater galaxy. Collapsing Star, our human alien hybrid police officer dude, is a beast of a man with multiple powers, including flight and being able to live in space and blah 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 blah. He's Superman. After we returned to the vein, Helios let Hyperion know what type of updates would be required to process the data that he gave us, which would be equivalent to a modern i9 processor. Mr. McLaren, we went to his party. Angler showed up as one of his triplets deep sea. Sean showed up as Cleopatra. Ixion went as a knight. Carmen went as an F1 race girl. And Hyperion went as Data. We all arrived as representatives of Quantum Unlimited at a very nice house with white and orange lights. McLaren was dressed up as the Highlander. So I'm assuming it was Connor McLeod, and I think we all knew it was Connor McLeod. And Meredith showed up in a nice suit. It was disappointing. Meredith and the others talked about the alien quarantine. She did not know about Collapsing Star. She knew how Electrum beat Tyraxian the Tyrant. Tyrex the Tyrant, thank you.
Yep.
However, she states she is uninformed about the intergalactic community. And being informed of them was a little bit of a surprise to her. Like, she knew they existed, she did not know details. She knows Mayframe may be in Transnistria, and I hope I said that right, due to a large amount of electronic devices passing through the area. She encourages Spymaster for assistance. She mentioned Kovaria, ruled by Baron Damascus. Him and Electrum used to clash and had left on bad terms. And the Baron is a proper dictator. Kovaria is a poverty-stricken country, unrecognized by other nations, but no one's willing to do anything about it because superhero or supervillain in charge. Ixion did not dance well. In fact, in my notes, we were joking about this. Did Ixion dance well? No. No, he did not. Someone was dressed up as Lightbringer. The partygoers seemed to be attempting to rile up the media as she was with the guy out from Cobra Kai. I know you may have said the name, but I forgot to write it down, and I don't want to interrupt the flow of the conversation.
Johnny Lawrence. Sweep the leg.
William Zabka.
And Meredith announced the Sentinels.
You're missing the full name, which is not surprising considering you took it a different way in character and missed that. It's the Sentinels of Liberty.
Yep. Sentinels of Liberty that arrived and included two very popular and well-known heroes, Battle Hymn Bell and S.H.I.E.L.D. Angler spoke with S.H.I.E.L.D. and Meredith, and they're going to organize a meeting to sit down and have some conversations. And that was at the very tail end of the game last 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Indeed. And where we are leaving off, you guys are about ready to go directly to the office of Senator Miles Barrett, and hopefully petition on behalf of all dimensional beings who don't currently have any sort of actual identification or country of origin on this planet, anyways, in an effort to try and make them legal.
What was the senator's name?
Senator Miles Barrett.
All right.
And we need to roll for monthly karma and birthday karma.
Woohoo!
Karma.
Okay. What is it again? A D10?
D10 times 50.
This is for birthday first, or
whichever.
Okay. Happy birthday to me. Here we go. 5 times
50.
50. That's 250, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then times 6. 250 times 6 is 1,500 so far.
Nice.
Okay.
And is someone else rolling for the monthly?
I will do it again. I haven't rolled in a long time.
Okay.
And big money, big buddy, no whammy. Stop. 9.
Woo! Good going, birthday boy.
Is that one also times 50 or is that different?
It's also times 50.
Nice. Okay. So times 50 times 6.
Oh, 50.
So that one alone was 2,700. So in total, we just got 4,200 added currently to the, where are we at now? 3770 that we have. Oops. Darn it. 4200. Hold on. Sorry, 4200 plus 3770. So we're at 7,970 banked karma.
Nice.
So, with that said, question for the group, since it's my turn in the improvement cycle. 2 possible ways to improve. Either Hyperion could try, assuming that this would be available, to increase his resources from RM30 to IN40. Or Jerome, would materials and whatnot be available for him to create his new enhancement, the portal generation system, or no? Because we got the data now from Lightbringer's information, but I don't know if we have the materials.
You don't, and you don't have the time to do it yet.
Okay. Then would an increase in Hyperion's resources be possible from RM30 to IN40? Or would we have to wait there too?
I would just, yeah, that's going to require a wait because you're actually building back up to where you were.
Okay.
With all the problems that you had before. So market stability being what it is and products that you're needing to get back out to make up for that shortfall as well as prepay the loan.
Got it. Okay. All right. Then that's where we're at. I guess we have to wait a little bit for that stuff. Okay.
We have a loan in this game too.
Oddly enough, yes.
Jeez.
It's because we were out of the dimension for a few months.
Yeah.
And our company did poorly.
Right.
Why
Exactly.
why is it that all these games have debt? Because in the Street Fighter game, we are lacking because of gambling debts.
Yeah, isn't this supposed to be like a power fantasy?
Yeah.
It is, but not when the rolls go against you.
Right.
Dang rolls.
Okay.
Or evil, potentially ambiguous individuals steal from you in large troves.
Right. Thanks, son. Appreciate you taking all our stuff. Mechanical son.
So after the party,
He is grounded.
everybody is going in costume and the next morning at this point and teleporting to DC.
Yep. You got it.
Jerome, you said that, and my brain was like, we would have definitely changed back after the party.
Yeah.
Before going to DC.
Yeah, that's easy for me. Done.
I mean, I don't know. Lightbringer might have been trying to, earn some brownie points.
Well,
Showing up as the F1 racer girl superhero.
I don't know. I don't know that she needs that. We'll just let it go.
Okay.
Well, we are talking about DC here, so
Davy Jones is all no mainframe slander here. He can do no wrong. He just needs pants.
he is not a Nuwisha.
He does.
Pants
He
are
does
not
need
optional.
pants. He does need pants.
Yeah.
If he's gonna have a body, he needs pants.
No pantalones. All right. Well, then there's no sense in delaying the inevitable. The rest of you get dressed up in your regal superhero attire, or whatever that might look like. Did anybody fill Billy in as to what was going on? As to why he's being awakened so early in the morning?
I figured Hyperion would have.
Well, since we didn't have the opportunity last time, obviously. So yeah, Hyperion will find Billy. I take it he's still within the vein.
Oh, yeah.
So he walks up to him. It's probably like this next morning, just a little bit before we take off, and he says, "Good morning, Billy. How did you sleep?"
What time is it?
Given the time that you need to meet in DC and you guys are in Colorado, probably 7 a.m.
7 a.m. Okay. So Billy's asleep in the bed. All you get is
He's forcing me. Helios, please play smooth jazz.
Oh God!
So then you hear. So then all of a sudden you end up hearing. Oh no. So yeah, you end up hearing Kenny G. Na 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 na.
And as soon as that music starts, you hear Sean scream from the other end of the hall.
Billy just rockets straight up and immediately tries to shut it down. No, no.
You're awake. Excellent, brother. Helios, discontinue music, please.
Hate you.
Affirmative. So you hear it turn off.
Coffee.
What? For the love of God, what?
Coffee.
Yes, if you could, Angler, that would be appreciated.
He's holding out his hand with a cup of coffee.
Oh, you're in the room as well?
Yeah, he looks very bright and bushy-eyed.
Oh,
yeah,
great.
coffee would have already been made. Helios has got that down.
So, yeah.
Lightbringer also would have been over early because she knew we needed to leave.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Sean's by the coffee pot. You just heard her scream when the smooth jazz started
playing. So Billy will happily take the cup of coffee and start chugging as quickly as he can, assuming it's pretty hot, but try to get that in him. And then he'll start zombieing towards wherever people are meeting, grabbing necessities as he walks past them.
Excellent.
Side note, has anybody seen the movie Gran Turismo?
Not yet.
No.
Okay.
I know what it is, but yeah.
There was a
Yes,
Kenny G reference that I chuckled.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right.
Good movie. Enjoyed it.
Everybody has fully prepared, woke up at this point. You walk over to the landing pad when everyone is ready. So by this point, probably by about 7:30-ish. Running a little bit behind because you're having to get everybody awake.
And I got my coffee in my to-go cup.
And Sean is going to teleport.
Yep.
Roll it.
Do you guys want me to use some karma?
Yes.
What's your teleportation at again?
30. Remarkable.
Okay. I mean, if we really wanted to just make sure nothing messed up, if she spent 35, then rolling a 1 means she's got a green. Are we okay with that, everybody?
Sure.
Okay. 35 spent. Roll them.
Oh no!
It's thinking.
It's taking a long time.
It's really thinking hard about this.
I don't think you put in the exclamation point, so it's confused.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's right. That's at the end, isn't it?
The beginning. So that's exclamation point, roll.
Roll.
And then the
Gotcha.
code.
Yep. I think I broke the dice.
That's just really
You're still
thinking.
using /R.
Yeah. Exclamation
That's the wrong dice spot. That's why.
roll.
Roll doesn't have to be capitalized, right? Just
Right.
Oh, there we go. White feet. Woohoo! 5.
Oh my
So,
god.
Five.
That means we got a green feet then.
Yeah.
Because we spent the 35.
Good job on spending the karma.
Mm-hmm.
So that does get you to where you need to go. A little shaky when you get there, like when you finish the teleportation.
It was a
on top of the
jazz.
building that you had previously dropped on top of, but her targeting was off by just a little bit. So it's like when you guys drop down a couple inches onto the rooftop with a, sort of thing, like her coffee gets jostled, almost comes flying out.
It was the damn jazz.
But otherwise, you guys make it to DC safe and sound.
Sorry, guys.
We're alive and we're in one piece.
Rather land a couple of inches above the roof than in the roof. So,
Yeah.
Well put.
So you end up finding a fire escape again to come back down the side, walk, a block over or so to where the offices are in Washington, D.C. It's a brisk, cool morning at this point. Snowfall has touched down, so there are, many of the streets have been plowed or shoved off to the side. There's, that inky black and white snow off to the side, from oil and water frozen. And of course, salt. A bleak sky out, a bleak winter sky as you go walking over. You guys are about at least 20 minutes late at this point to the meeting. You come up, up the stairs, back into the office. You go through security.
What time is it? What time was the meeting at?
The meeting was supposed to be at 9.
So it was 7:30. I thought we were leaving at 7:30.
Time zone.
You did leave at 7:30. Time zones, yep.
Oh, yeah. Never mind.
So
7:30 Mountain.
It takes you some time to get buzzed through. So by the time you get through, it's like 7:45 at this point. Security clears you to come walking through after they've checked everybody appropriately. Keep in mind, no weapons are obviously being brought in, so don't assume anything that can be used for a weapon has been allowed in. Walking down the hallway, you can hear an active argument going on.
They can't confiscate my brain.
True.
Even
Or
if
my
it's
hands.
DC.
Yep, or your hands. Little lightning, little thunder.
Even if it's DC.
You said we can hear an argument
You can hear an argument
clearly or no?
clearly.
Can we tell who it is who's arguing?
Yes. You recognize the voice of Meredith.
Oh, Mommy Dearest is here.
Well, she's arrived and she's on time. Let's continue.
As you come as you open up the door to into the office, like a sonic wall of anger like washes over all you guys. It's like that Memorex commercial like they used to have during this time frame.
And Shone
Is
immediately
live
puts
or
herself
Memorex?
behind
Exactly.
Shone immediately puts herself behind Hyperion.
Okay. And she and the senator are going back and forth, very loudly, like he's, trying to calm her down some, but also his voice is raised and, semi irritated. She's coming, at him, like when you come walking in, the apparently whatever happened before, like when you're walking in, Meredith is railing on him about the Justice Legion, and of course he's trying to calm her down, but you guys end up hearing, like at one point he's trying to say like they are the government sponsored team of United States, and he's partly upset that she was involved with the Sentinels of Liberty, which is being taken as a clear jab against the Justice Legion. And apparently, you also hear the legacy mentioned, in that, and she, stands off and finger wags like almost right in his face. And you end up hearing her say something to the effect of like, yeah, she's involved with both, and that's because the Justice League, the Justice Legion, couldn't act their way out of a wet paper bag, and that they have completely lost their focus and mandate and become superhero celebrities more focused on glory and power than actually helping people. So it's like this, like rage, palpable rage going across the desk at this point. And as you guys come walking in, she takes a moment, brushes her hair back real quick and smooths down her the outfit that she happens to be in, and the senator pauses as well at that point and clears his throat, and then welcomes all of you in.
And you'll see Shone kind of peek around Hyperion.
So as we walk in, Hyperion makes sure to head in, and as everyone else is entering and sitting down, he says, "I apologize for our lateness. Hopefully we haven't missed anything crucial."
And at that point, like the senator was about ready to say something, Meredith jumps right in, and she says, "Nothing of note." And he's just like,
Just to be clear, this is the one that Billy keeps calling Nana.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Who promised to shoot you in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I
maybe
remember.
don't do that in public.
Certainly not in front of her, or where it might get repeated.
Your father has always hated you. The day you were born, he said, "Get it." Your father comes home, he's going to shoot you in the face with a bazooka. So, at any rate,
Really loud bazooka.
Yeah, exactly. So things are starting to simmer down for a moment, and Meredith was paused, and she says, "The senator was just telling me, and I suppose that's going to be us now, that there is not going to be any agreement to work towards this lunar base. Is that not right, Senator Barrett?" She kind of just like throws him up, with in a verbal barb, and he sighs and he holds out his hands for a second, and he says, I'm very sorry. I did try my best, and I did attempt to sway those who might possibly be swayed or willing to work with this initiative. And given the circumstances, the United States is officially refusing to work with New Prussia, regardless of the circumstances. They cannot be seen in collusion with New Prussia, despite the obviously good case that all of you have laid out. Specifically stated, the terms that I heard many times is that it's muddy, convoluted, and then what I will also state is that the President Jackson, also ran on a platform of SPB registration. So you can understand why he doesn't want to get caught in this particular type of situation. My best guess for all of you is to attempt to get yourselves politically motivated and perhaps support a president candidate in the upcoming 2 years who can possibly get in office and assist from there.
2 years?
Senator, with all due respect, 2 years is clearly too late. I'm sure you understand.
I do. And at this point, Meredith is sitting down and she's letting the rest of you handle this particular portion of it because she's steamed and she's if she could kill him with words, she probably would. She has that look, and you guys have seen this like once or twice before. The only time she's ever been this angry is when you guys had that first conversation about the Black Book. So you know she came and she's serious, and if she could materialize a gun, she probably would have shot him.
Did Ms. McCall not explain the dire circumstance that it is to have Tyrex come back?
She did, and it's a Senate committee. They will ask questions. They will make up their own mind and then proceed from there. There are still members within the United States government, senators, House committee, that were still interested in that SPB registration, and the failure of that has left some walls up, let's just say politically.
It seems that if they do not decide to work with, then the bottom line is, if Tyrex the Tyrant were to show up, they may as well have signed this world's death warrant. There is nothing less than that.
I understand where you're coming from. They see things differently. I don't have that kind of power to sway them. They fully believe that the Justice Legion is their guardians, and barring that, that the guardians from the United Nations will act as a secondary buffer. And I will say, and he holds his hand up to Meredith, who looked like she was about ready to verbally vomit all over him again. He says, I do have some cards up my sleeve that I could still attempt to pull. However, and he, makes sure that his secretary has closed the door at this point. He says, much of this would probably need to be covert, as I cannot. Obviously, the United States has taken an official stance that they will not be directly tied to New Prussia in any form, for any reason, regardless of the safety or what is offered. So I understand that you came with essentially gifts to grease the wheel, and this effort has obviously changed. I do not wish to see my country caught with our pants down, let alone our world. So I am considering attempting to help in a much more low-key effort, if that is acceptable to the rest of you.
What is it exactly you had in mind, Senator?
Well, there's obviously still some logistic problems. Even with their superhuman powers, there's a matter of labor. There's a matter of materials that would be required for something of this nature. There's obviously an issue of logistics and safety concerns for the launch of the parts and satellite material that would be used on the lunar surface.
It seems that with the measure of abilities that may not be at our disposal, but are available in some aspect, that some of those logistics may be able to be taken care of through either teleportation or even being carried up by an SPB.
Well, that's partly what I was getting at. Obviously, you can't just blindly teleport things up into space. It's even though it's the moon, it's still a good bit of distance. And I'm sure there's some science behind that as well.
the rate
What-
that we're traveling through the universe, one misstep and you are forever in space.
Correct. What I am offering, and I do understand because the original deal could not be met, that the the technology that President Albrecht had originally offered would likely be off the table. I am all right with that. What I am offering is what manpower I can utilize, obviously in a much more low-key fashion. I have a facility in my home state of Texas that could be used for stateside services to set up additional factory, additional machining and factory workers, because something of this nature is going to be quite massive, and even if they have superpowers, they're going to need all the hands that they can get, especially if we're going to get this done in presumably a reasonable amount of time, given the urgency that you have expressed.
What about jurisdiction of the moon?
Well, that is a twofold issue. One I can partly help with. The other part, no one can really assist with it, because as soon as the first vessel goes up and parts begin to be installed and drilled and this facility begun, the United Nations will know.
In Justin forgets what date.
94.
When the space race began, there was an agreement within the UN that no nation will have ownership of the moon. So it gets murky whenever you start discussing the property of a nation on the moon, which does not count as a national holding for any country. And Jurgen will probably honor that agreement, even though at the time his country had not yet been formed.
Granted, yet putting a base that's going to launch armament into space at interstellar enemies is clearly going to draw at least some ire from different countries.
Correct. What I was getting to is I still have some contacts within the United Nations, and I can get the Office of Outer Space Affairs to overlook parts of this initially. Obviously, nothing is going to change that once it begins. Once the facility begins being installed, but at least I can obfuscate part of that activity initially. Hopefully.
Any way we could cloak it?
If you have some sort of Star Trek-like technology that I'm unaware of, I would be more than willing to listen.
At the moment, no, but it is something that perhaps could be invented. Be that as it may, with regard to this facility you have then, is it a private facility or is there a for-profit business involved?
It is a for-profit business, or at least had been. The facility itself is available and currently empty, so it would not go completely unnoticed. But I think I could pull the right strings and hire individuals for such work that would be discreet. Again, nothing we do is going to be 100% hidden, but I think if we can keep it off the radar for long enough, we can get this facility well underway before the politics gets involved. Understand that I'm risking quite a bit to do this, and at that point Meredith was about ready to chime in and say that to that effect. He says, but right now I'm gambling more on a measure of forgiveness later than asking permission.
With that said, then, what would you need specifically from us in order to get the ball rolling, as it were?
Well, the two things I want. One, obviously, I want to be able to present United States leadership when they do catch wind of this that yes, we were involved, and that yes, the United States did have a hand in its creation. Even though I'm sure that will cause some waves, it could smooth certain other aspects out in the form of control. So I would like to keep the joint clause that was originally developed in place. Obviously, we can't say it is United States directly, but I want the United States involved, and I think that would go over better later for the forgiveness aspect of what we're attempting to do. I also want, respectively, because I know he has the capability, I know we can't get the anti-gravity technology at this point, but it would be a major boon militarily as well as commercially if we could get his updated copies of his space vessels and faster than light drives.
Jurgen doesn't have space vessels.
Does he?
I don't think he does.
Or have you not talked to him about that?
Well, I remember asking him about being involved in space.
Correct.
And he is not.
And that was over 5 months ago.
Okay. Have you considered how this refusal is going to upset President Jurgen?
I have, and that's why I'm attempting
an olive branch.
Correct, and that's why I'm attempting to lay out my neck on the chopping block.
Well, then it sounds as if we need to obtain copies or schematics for working anti-gravity technology and faster-than-light propulsion. Would it matter to you where that information came from? Does it have to come from New Prussia, or could it be created separately?
So long as we obtain it, and as I indicated, I'm not expecting the anti-gravity technology, but I do believe getting ourselves equipped with space-worthy vessels of some kind is a priority, especially if we're going to build this lunar base.
There may be avenues that we can assist with that.
Yes. All right. We can work on at least obtaining this technology. Was there anything else that you needed from us specifically to make this plan work?
I just need to know if we're going forward. Obviously, we would not discuss this further in these offices. I will send you separate contact information that you can reach me discreetly.
So then Hyperion looks to the group and says, "This is something that has to happen for the benefit of the world. Hopefully we're all in agreement on this."
You got no rejection from me. Or objection.
Then Hyperion turns around back to the senator. "We'll accept we can obtain this information and technology for you as soon as possible.
Excellent. I was hoping there would be something that some sort of an accord we could come to. As I said, I will have somebody reach out to you separately with additional contact information. We will not meet here again regarding this matter.
Understood.
Oh, and one more thing. I was able, I know this seems perhaps petty considering what we are attempting to achieve, but I was able to obtain some form of legal status for the individuals you've been asking about.
Excellent. It's much appreciated. To clarify, would that also be for Mosh Pit here as well? Or is that simply the other interdimensional refugees? He was one of them.
Looks over at Mosh Pit and he's, I was unaware that you had another, but I could, one more shouldn't hurt.
That would be much appreciated if you could.
Out of character, was I included in that?
Yeah, nobody else.
No, because it's just the interdimensional people.
It was just the interdimensionals?
Yep.
Okay.
So, Chone isn't either.
Or Hyperion,
Nope.
technically, yeah.
Yep.
We all have fake ID.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very interesting, actually. So, like 2/3 of our team are illegal.
Illegals.
Yep.
Awkward.
Excellent.
I'd like to see him try to send me back home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Hyperion.
Yeah. Oh no. Well.
So he stands at this point, offers his hand to shake.
Yeah, Hyperion goes ahead and shakes it.
Okay. And I will be in touch with you soon.
Excellent. Thank you again, Senator. Ms. McCall, did you have more business with the Senator, or did you want to walk with us out?
She says, no, my business is done. And
Excellent.
she says, Senator, doesn't extend her hand, and he's just like, Ms. McCall, pleasure as always. And she just kind of turns and walks out.
Go ahead and walk out and follow her. So, Ms. McCall, I know that we didn't catch the first part of what the argument was about, but it seems we have a understanding, at least, as far as what needs to be done.
Right.
Did you have any other advice with regard to what we would need to accomplish beyond what the Senator has said so far?
Well, she says, well, we can discuss that out on the steps of the building, perhaps a little bit away.
Of course.
But so with that, she's shooting people, looks, like even security guards, she'll like look at them and they just kind of like do the, kind of like look away, like,
Jeez.
Afraid
Yeah,
that
she'll
she's...
make sure that she's always on the other side of somebody, never near Meredith.
And as you walk out, and now there's a little bit of ambient noise from the hustle and bustle of town, and maybe nearby wind or cars and so on and so forth. She says, I knew that they were not going to be happy at the announcement of the Sentinels of Liberty, and the fact that they're purposely I drew specifically from World War II heroes and legacy heroes and ex-members of the Justice Legion. I just feel that part of this denial came from the Justice Legion. False levels of assurances.
It does seem like they have quite a bit of pull, even though they don't necessarily have political acumen. Their celebrity status has given them a degree of political authority almost.
So she turns and she points to a billboard sign, and it's a reality TV show that's currently starring Monarch, and she says, "You think?"
Ridiculous.
I wonder, was this something you had planned for other groups, including us, when you were trying to form them with regard to publicity?
You mean television? No. There's a manner in which that you handle your public relations. You don't whore yourself out to sponsors and television stations for additional money and ratings, which is ultimately what they're doing.
Preach.
She says, I'm sure it wouldn't surprise you to know that the Justice Legion has an embedded media agent and team that films them when they go into action.
That would make sense.
That doesn't surprise me.
You can practically hear Billy rolling his eyes.
She says, but anyways, you kids did as good as you could do. I'm surprised that the senator is willing to make these concessions because he could face treason charges.
I didn't want to say the words.
I would.
Me neither.
I would treat.
Glad I wasn't the only one thinking it.
I would treat what you just found out with a great deal of care, and she looks specifically at the angler, and avoid overt discussions of this sort of thing. But
Understood.
what he proposed may just work.
Well, I suppose the proof will be in the pudding, as it were. If Tyrax comes and we're prepared for it, then the government will surely claim that they knew all along that he was operating on this.
And I think that that's what he's gambling on. And if I was, despite my feelings about the individual and how he couldn't push this through, I would probably take that gamble as well. Because the only other thing that a politician doesn't want is to be caught flat-footed. Plausible deniability goes both ways. And if you can at least give them that plausible deniability so that they can smile and say, yes, we were involved, it could go over better than trying to just fight it out with them and push it through. How do you think they got some of their projects, their military-grade projects pushed through?
Of course. Well then, we'll be working on assembling that technology as soon as possible. In fact, the FTL drive is something that we could actually work on almost immediately, fortunately. But there is still the matter, as we mentioned to you earlier, about Transnistria. We'll be actually heading there soon, probably later today.
All right, well, you kids keep in mind that that is not a recognized nation, and there is a significant buildup of Russian forces there to keep it from becoming part of Moldova again. So you are going to be entering in an effective no man's land.
Then we may want to talk to Baron Damocles in Kovaria first to see if he has any way of perhaps assisting us with integrating into Transnistria.
Well, that is a possibility. Keep in mind, he is a known dictator. He does not like outsiders.
With the Russians being heavily occupying Transnistria, would it be a fair assumption that the Ubari would be there also?
She shrugs. I don't know. I don't know if they're willing to let them operate that far from mainland Russia. Transnistria sits in between Moldova and Ukraine with nary a direct link to Russia. Russia would have to go through the Ukraine to get there. I don't know if they're willing to risk that unless they had some sort of stealth transport or something. That to me just seems a little risky. This would be something you would want to keep much more close to home, but I've been wrong before.
I am unfamiliar with the technology of Ubarian ships, but
You and me both, kid.
being that they are very capable mercenaries, they may have developed or pirated the sort in recent years that I am unaware of.
Well, all of you know more about that particular situation than I do. But don't go in with blinders on.
Of course. Well, Ms. McCall, as always, a pleasure, and thank you for your assistance with regards to discussing what has been with the senator.
Well, I did what I could. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. Hey, Mike, mute your mic when you're typing. It's really loud. Thank you.
Yeah.
No worries. She says, I did have one other thing that I wanted to propose to all of you, since all of you are here. It doesn't have to be now, and it's something to consider. I know that you have use of the vein at this point in time. She says, but there is the possibility that you may be able to collaborate with the Sentinels of Liberty in perhaps a joint super base of sorts.
You're suggesting to create perhaps a larger organization and a base to accommodate that organization, at least with our two teams.
Correct.
Are we talking like a proper merge or just existing in the same space?
No, just existing in the same space. I would never dream of integrating the two of you in such a fashion, as I think that some of your objectives are going to be different than one another, especially given your lineages. There's obviously things that regarding that these Sentinels would not need to be involved with. But
where do you think this would be based?
I don't know yet. Right now I have plans for a facility. I just don't know where exactly I could place that. So something to keep in mind. It's not obviously a requirement. It was just something I thought I would offer as a way to perhaps condense some resources and perhaps maximize potential if necessary. I know you already work well with Shield, and he speaks highly of all of you.
Duly noted. Do you think they would be willing to go with us on a joint venture to Transnistria, or are they currently busy elsewhere?
They are currently busy here within the United States. There's a little bit of public relations that I'm needing them to do to allay some of the concerns that pro Justice Legion individuals, will put it, have raised. And there are some things I need them to tackle here. Not only to put them on the map, but also to let them form as a team.
Noted. Well, again, thank you, Ms. McCall, for your efforts, and we will, of course, take that super base into consideration. We have much to plan for and much to do.
Oh, and if you do plan on going to Coveria and visiting the Baron, you should probably do it in costume.
Are the Sentinels aware of our citizenship status?
No.
So they think that we are, as far as shown Billy and I, they think that we are just standard SPBs.
Yes, that is correct. That is not information that is not information I divulge readily.
Thank you for keeping that private.
Of course.
Excellent. Then Shone, if you're ready.
I'm going to stay here in DC. I will fly back to Strongford later.
Understood. Keep us posted if you need anything.
And I will look after Strongford while you guys are gone.
Noted.
Either that or Aegis will. I might be able to find something that'll help me chase down more about the Pearl while you guys are out.
Well, there's Sledge and Wraith are on the job too.
Won't be a solo effort.
Excellent. And we'll see you again soon. Michonne, if you're ready.
He'll give them all a hug.
Yeah.
Like an honest
Oh,
hug.
Yeah.
Oh.
A brother hug.
oh.
Touching moment.
Shone would tell him, don't break the coffee maker.
And then he'll head out. He's actually going to the museum.
Okay.
And she'll poof everyone home.
All right. Poof. So all of you appear back into the superhero base, the Vein, inside on the landing pad. Someone's
Meanwhile, at the Vein.
I'm confused about something.
What's
What
that?
is flat-footed?
The vast majority of human beings possess arches in their feet which help with their balance for their bodies. To be flat-footed is to lose said balance, to be caught off guard.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Thought it was a boxing reference.
Okay. That makes sense.
Well, excellent.
Do we need to pack? Or we just
There's one thing we need here, and we also need to make sure that we're all equipped with any garb that you were able to obtain for us so that we can blend in.
are we going to wear it there? Or change there?
We have two possibilities. We've already been given the information, as I mentioned earlier, with regard to perhaps asking the ruler of Covaria, Baron Damocles, for information. Possibly that would help us with infiltrating Transnistria. Or we can bypass that and simply head to Transnistria directly. The Vein does possess an object within its trophy room that apparently Electrum had obtained many years ago. It was apparently a gauntlet from Baron Damocles. We could perhaps offer that as an olive branch when we arrive.
Okay, well, I'll go get the garb for everyone.
Excellent.
She'll skip off.
Okay, so what are all of you planning then as far as the trip? You're just packing some things, hopping in the Xenofreeze ship-o-matic and flying?
Let's see here. So, the ship. Xenofreeze, does your ship have any degree of autopilot?
Yes.
Could it be told to autopilot itself back to the Vein after it drops us off?
I believe so. When the previous AI had interfaced with it, we had dispatched it to Argentina. Do you recall?
Yes. We'll need to make sure then that it can still actually accomplish that. I may need to make a modification.
That is fine. We have not modified anything within the ship that would accommodate that. or would hinder that any different than what was previous. Although Helios may need some sort of interface technology to communicate with my ship.
Negative. Helios already has the capability.
Duly noted. Can you set a trajectory and location and send the ship to a particular location?
So there's a little chime as it's thinking. That is within my programming parameters. However, I lack the necessary security protocols.
Hyperion can go ahead and he heads up to the main computer and he types in information to see if he can go ahead and provide it with the protocols that would be for.
Yeah, you locked up.
ship.
You guys actually did this when you came back to the vein and realized mainframe left. So all I have to do is just let go those certain security protocols, and he can access it again.
Right.
So it's pretty easy.
Cool.
Syncing.
Excellent.
I now have access to the vessel. If you have a latitude and longitude, I can send it to those. I can send it to those specific coordinates.
Excellent. The only thing we'll need to be aware of is that your ship does not itself have a cloaking device. The only way we've been able to keep it hidden is with Lightbringer's abilities before.
Yes.
So if we go somewhere, it would need to be hidden somehow.
I hope that there is. I would assume that you have limited Helios's access to my ship as an approved user, not as an admin.
Take a look at the information. Is he an admin of the ship or is he a user?
No,
of the
just
ship?
a user. Yeah.
Okay. So
good. I just want to make sure we prevent any mainframe mishaps again.
Understandable.
With accessibility to the ship, which we could theoretically deny his accessibility at any moment, if necessary.
Of course. Excellent.
Should it be should we have a fail-safe? Perhaps some sort of factory reset, if you will, that we can reset the ship to any standards that would prevent it from operating under any remote capabilities or other user permissions.
Are you afraid then that your ship may be directly hacked from another party?
Not necessarily afraid, but with the advanced technology that we will be inevitably sharing with what seems to be inevitable, again, the United States government as well as others, it could be possible. Because the technology that we are potentially sharing with this corporation in Texas is going to be directly from my ship.
Correct.
I was assuming, yes.
At least the faster than light drive, the ability to actually interface with your ship would be a different type of machine. They simply require the propulsion ability, which I have actually learned from researching your vessel. So we could provide that to them technically at any time.
Duly noted. I just do not wish to limit ourselves or get caught flat-footed, as we have been saying, and lose the control of this ship. It is a personal and very good resource for all of us.
Helios, with your interface with Xenofreeze's ship, are you able to create the safeguards that he's been discussing?
Processing it, and then Helios says, it sounds like that could be possible, but it would be a combination of radio encryption as well as a software built onto your ship. As there as the software on the vessel is currently lacking in the written language, it is highly unlikely anyone without that language could access it here on planet Earth.
Understood.
We could do it in even a cipher. I am obviously fluent in the Salanth language and vocabulary, but with my ship's translation skills, the limited translation skills, we could, in fact, use any of the many other races' information that we have, even if it would end up being translated as gibberish, we could still use it as a potential safeguard.
Possibly, but it seems as though since the code is already in a language not of this world, that it will be extraordinarily difficult, if not impossible, for many bad actors on this world to even successfully access your ship remotely. They would need to actually know your language and know the coding structure of the software in your ship, which is going to be different from that of the rest of the technology on Earth. It is already acting as a means of defense against hacking, it would seem. But duly noted that we will go ahead and upgrade that when we have the time, especially since there will be other races off-world who may be able to translate your language. In the meantime, I suggest everyone get ready. I know that Freddy provided us with our bags of goodies, as it were, similar to when we traveled to Argentina and we're moving amongst the populace. That way we won't be caught without supplies. Let's gather that and be ready to go. So then Hyperion goes off, and he's making sure that Shon's got all the things she needs, that everyone else has everyone needs.
Okay. So then are you taking the vessel there?
Yeah, we might as well. That way it's going to be a lot easier to travel, and we can just pilot it remotely if we need to.
Okay. So we'll skip past that part then. You're getting all your gear together, getting back on board the vessel at this point. This is the first time I think Billy's been on it.
Yep.
Do we? I can't remember if I put the pictures in Discord. I know it's in the Facebook chat. Let me take a look real quick.
I don't think there's any photos in Discord.
No, there is not. Nothing that I've pinned, unfortunately. Okay, so bummer. So, but the pictures are in the Facebook chat of what the vessel looks like. It's not. It's small in the sense of ships, but it's big in the sense of aircraft. Put it that way. You know,
how far back am I going to have to go?
If you actually just click on the pictures, you can keep scrolling back. If somebody wants to
Okay.
repost it for him, that'd be great. Oh, awesome. There you go. Jarek posted it in the Discord chat for supers.
Yep.
Oh,
So
perfect.
gives you the floor plan and what it looks like.
Whoa, fancy.
Yep. So it clearly looks like of alien origin.
Yeah.
But you've got plenty of room. It's not like you have to just sit
Holy
down.
cow, that thing, yeah, it's huge.
Right. Like I said,
All right.
it's small for a vessel, but it's big for quote unquote aircraft. You know, it's got rooms and it's got places you can move in it and whatnot. So, so you guys take off, make your way. Getting information on the unrecognized nation of Covaria is not difficult. There's only one known airport, and it is in the city of Nawitarg. I will
How
post
is that spelled?
Gesundheit.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
I'm going to post it. There you go.
This is the Covarian.
Facebook chat. I'll be right back.
This is the Covarian city.
Yeah, he said Covarian.
Okay, was that spelled with a C? Coveria.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably.
Okay.
Oh my god.
By the way,
I feel your
He would've
pain.
been-
Trust me.
he would have been super uncool with negotiating with unrepentant former World War II accomplices.
Just want to clarify something. So, am I to understand that this Legion is vetoing the moon base because they think they can take on?
Yes, that was the
Likely.
implication. And
was
Monarch
not-
pitches like a bitch.
And because we're not,
The senator did not specifically say
and because
that
we're not
they-
them.
Oh, this is in character? Never mind. Ignore me.
The senator did not state that. He said that it was through their influence, as well as the United States government, that them, as well as others, would be able to defend this nation and
Well,
perhaps the world.
I think
They
they
Do not
don't
understand
like
the
us, and they
power.
don't think that we are worth becoming involved in something on this scale.
It's
And
quite
having
foolish.
not dealt with this person and only knowing what I've heard of him, whatever. What are your opinions on their stance?
I think they are imbeciles.
Okay, great. So crazy people. Cool. Awesome. Good to know.
This isn't
They're in love with themselves.
the tyrant is capable of destroying worlds.
That's what I thought. So I'm not sure where they're. Okay.
This is not anything more than the local catastrophic potential, such as somebody as our father. He
Who
was not a
happens to be
world.
who happens to be the father of two of their members.
I think this is purely a territorial conniption.
And so, as an FYI, now that I'm back, I'm going to try and make an effort to update the website. So, if anybody wants to utilize that as a further resource, because there's already a bunch of good stuff on there. Some of the new places I already have written up, so I just probably need to rewrite them just a little bit. So they're generic in the sense that people who are not playing in the game are not going to get information. You know, people that are playing the game are not going to get information they shouldn't, and people who are not playing in the game and just want to read it will get what they need and not get confused in the minutia. But the quick breakdown on Covaria. Covaria is a small independent nation that actually sits between Slovakia and Poland. It actually takes up in real life, there's a small pocket of territory that it has been claimed. Basically, it's
Between
ruled
Slovakia and where?
Poland.
Poland. Okay.
It's ruled by an individual by the name of Baron Damocles as its dictator. It was formed at the end of World War II with the rise of the Baron to power. He was actually instrumental in repelling the German forces for most of the war and enjoys significant loyalty from his people. Outside, he is technically viewed as a villain, but the people see him more as a monster dedicated to their independence and well-being.
Sounds familiar.
Kind of like living in the shadow of a giant lion or something, and knowing that the lion doesn't have a problem with you, but anybody else that gets nearby, it's going to tear up.
Got it.
It's known that he rules in a very draconian fashion, but that is more towards outsiders. He does occasionally make the news because he clashes with the UN-sponsored group, the Guardians, and he's also clashed with the Tyrants, which is a pro-deviant terrorist group. And occasionally he'll make the news in diplomatic spats with the Russian Federation.
All right. So then we're able to land at Naui Targ?
Yes. Well, so you come flying in. Obviously, you're having to go in over Poland for the most part. Which actually, you're not terribly far from New Prussia at this point. Because New Prussia actually just sits on the other side of Poland. And so as you actually come flying in, for the most part, you've had to ignore like radio transmissions because you don't speak their language. But as far as you can tell, there are probably warnings about invading their airspace. But thankfully, your vessel moves at a fast enough clip. It's not like fighters would be dispatched from somewhere in Poland to try and thwart you with any degree of accuracy. I mean, you can outrun them with this ship. When you get into the territorial boundaries of Coveria, however, and you're kind of coming over around Naui Targ, the vessel is brought to an immediate stop, which throws everybody forward. Like it's just brought to a stop in midair.
Okay.
Okay.
Would be a
Oh.
good time to
Ow.
mention that we should be in costume right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I figure we all were already.
Okay.
What just happened?
So Hyperion's trying to look at the data on the consoles and stuff to see if we hit something or or what else is stopping
No,
the ship.
you are in midair. The vessel's engines are obviously starting to strain because it's attempting to go forward and it can't. And you can hear the structural integrity of the vessel creaking. It's not collapsing or anything, but it's like it's pushing up against something that is not physically there.
Okay.
Like a force
Immediately
shield.
back it off. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Which the vessel is capable of VTOL, so you can hover no problem.
Mhm.
And you end up seeing an individual in what appears to be kind of like a dark crimson red outfit with a cloak and cape. It has markings around it that appear to be like in kind of a dark gray. His armor matches the same the same sort of look, a little bit of a bulk to it, shoulder pads. Like it's not like a sleek Iron Man type of armor. It's a little bit more bulky kind of look. It's got like a full on faceplate, and you end up, you can hear him shout something, but it's not in English.
Are we
Anybody know that
going
language?
to address the red dude out there?
Let's see what we can do. Hyperion to let's see. Can we actually tell what language it is, or is it just like extraordinarily
It's
foreign?
it's European of some form. You're just not too sure what it is. It could be Russian, or maybe
Okay.
in a similar dialect.
Okay. With
Something
that, then
Slavic.
yeah. So then Hyperion will go. Hyperion to Angler. Do you read?
Do I?
But I mean, yeah. I mean, well, I don't know what you were doing during that day, but we can get back to that in a bit. But yeah, I mean,
He was
you'd
going
still
to
get the
hit
bounce.
up the museum, see if he could speak with the director if she was available, and hopefully not get accosted by his brother for wearing his costume very publicly, looking like him at a
Right.
Halloween party.
Right. So no, but I mean, like I said, we can deal with that, later. But you do end up getting the chime in your ear.
Angler.
We're attempting to fly to a particular location, and there is an individual who's speaking in us. It may be in Russian. I'm going to relay I'm going to put him on speaker, as it were, to see if you can translate. And I go ahead, and when the guy's talking or whatever he says, I'm going to have Freddy listen in.
Okay, so as you obviously don't reply, you can actually feel the entirety of the ship start to strain as if somebody is grabbing it, or it's being crushed somehow. And then the individual yells it again. Justin, give me a reason check. And it's going to be down one column shift.
Reason down one column shift. So from remarkable, it's going to be excellent.
Uh-huh.
So DX. I got an Iron Man feat.
Yellow feet.
Okay. So he's clearly not speaking Russian. It sounds like it's probably Polish. Some of the words are similar, and it sounds like, based upon the inflection, maybe he's asking the intent, or more like demanding.
It's not Russian. It's similar verbiage. It sounds. Did you recently pass over Poland?
We are near there, yes.
It might be Polish then. Have you reached out and tried to communicate in English yet?
I suppose we must at this point.
Is that the engine I hear?
One moment, please. Is there any type of hatch we can open up, or some way we can if we speak inside to project our voice outwards to?
It doesn't have anything like that, but you could definitely open a door.
Okay.
Basically like a hatch. It's no different than, and I hate to make this analogy, but like Star Trek. If it lands, it's got a part of the hull that'll open up and act as a door, and drop down as a set of stairs.
Gotcha. I just had a different idea. Oh, what's that?
Could you project one of your copies?
Exactly. So Hyperion goes ahead and creates a copy, and it's going to hover maybe 20 feet away from the guy, but in front of him. And then he'll speak through it going, "We mean you no harm. We want to discuss what we could with Baron Damocles, if possible."
So he responds then in English, and he says, "I am he. Why do you intrude upon my domain?"
Baron, firstly, I apologize for the rude interruption. We had no other way of contacting you. I am Hyperion, leader of the Legacy, as he waves to the ship behind him. We are from America. We are trying to obtain information from you, if at all possible, on how to maneuver throughout a nearby area, Transnistria. Do you know of it?
I will land your vessel. Do not come out armed, or I will crush you like grape.
Understood.
And so he starts to hover, and you can physically feel the ship like lurch and start being guided down as he descends.
Okay. And then he'll go ahead and dissipate.
Hold on there, Eric Lyncher.
You're right. Yeah, exactly.
Did the English work?
So he dissipates the photonic copy and he responds, "Yes, it did. It seems as if he is at least bilingual. Thank you for your assistance, Freddy. Are you doing all right?"
So far, so good.
Excellent. If there's anything else we need, we'll let you know. Hyperion out.
Understood.
And then he goes over to Xenophrase and says, "You may want to reduce the power of the engines." He is clearly guiding the ship.
Out of character, I already did that. I said that twice.
Yeah,
when it was like,
but
I said like back off.
Right, but you're hovering at this point, and he's physically pulling it down.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, I'll just
basically you relent to the external forces.
Yeah,
correct.
Which is fine.
Yeah, but the engine is basically idling. So in the event that
that'll work.
Moved,
so,
yeah,
yep, that'll work. And so he ends up. There's a small what looks like it was probably a small little international airport. It's got like one main runway and like a two side taxi runways or whatnot. And there's a couple of hangars. He just sets it down right in the middle of the runway. Not near any of the buildings, just sets it down and then, drops down, waiting as the wind strikes his cloak, sending it kind of dramatically one direction.
All right. We can now exit the vessel. Everyone, of course, on your best behavior. And then Hyperion goes over to the, because he of course would have taken that gauntlet from the vein and brought it with here. So he picks that up and heads outside.
Everybody else grabs his guitar. Yep. Billy grabs his guitar and follows.
Are you going to explain how we have that?
I'm going to pause for just a second. If there's anything of note, let me know. I've got to step away just for a second.
He's got a BM. I kid. Toilet humor doesn't always go over well. I apologize.
I don't know. It goes over well most of the time, I think. It just depends.
But you exit the craft at this point. The honestly, if this individual wasn't the one that greeted you, like everything around here, like the buildings look well maintained. It looks like this idyllic village that kind of stopped aging around 1945. Okay. If some sort of dictator didn't run this place, this probably would be a nice place to come visit. Maybe go skiing somewhere or check out the small little shops. Like it's really an idyllic and gorgeous kind of countryside, green lush trees everywhere. And of course, as you touch down, security guards are coming out, running out with him, about 10. They are in, they're in your typical fatigues. It's not like, what you would expect from someplace like New Prussia, for example, where everything looks like sci-fi or whatnot. Everybody here has, what would be appropriate firearms and rifles and whatnot. They have probably some bulletproof vests on and whatnot. and they surround your group and he just keeps walking forward, and from there they kind of guide you into town as you come walking, because you're walking at this point, and they make you walk the whole way.
Okay.
As you're walking through town, like you're coming through what is literally like, what appears to be like a small village. And we're talking, people still have the carts out there that they sell their own produce. There's some small shops that do like watchmaking, and basically just like if your family was involved in a thing, that's kind of what you did. Like it's your very typical European town that just kind of stopped aging at a certain point. And so like, there's not a whole lot of big commercialized anything here. So it's like, everybody has a clear stake in the culture and in the economy of the town. And they're just like gawking as you guys come walking past, with the security. Some kids are being pulled off the street, to get away from the outsiders and whatnot. So it is kind of a little bit of a xenophobic feel too. And they march you up to his castle,
This
which
is
actually
very different from New Prussia.
which has which kind of overlooks the town itself, with again a gorgeous view. But it's very clear that this castle was probably used many centuries ago to help defend the region. Back when kings and queens were a thing. And people fought readily over territory. The streets are cobblestone most everywhere around here. There are vehicles. The vehicles, however, are outdated, and they're obviously European in style. Oldest car that you guys see, or newest car, I should say, probably 1960s, 1970s.
Oh, wow.
So it definitely has that kind of classic vibe to it. Like you could just pick it out. You're like, oh, that's not modern. And he approaches it and walks up. And of course, the guards at this point, when you get to the main gates, are going over you and patting you down, make sure that you don't have, you're not bringing in any weaponry, and any devices that you have is actually being confiscated. So if there's anything like separate, like guitar, for example, if you have, like boxes or anything that's not directly connected to your person, it's being removed.
I would have the medical scanner.
Okay.
So does that include Hyperion holding the Baron Damocles gauntlet?
Yes.
Okay.
And within about 15 or so minutes after that, and more guards showing up at this point, and you can tell the tone of the castle. Like when you first got there, there were some staff maybe kind of walking around, and the castle itself very medieval looking. And there were some staff kind of walking around. Like within that 15 minutes, nobody but guards. Like everything kind of went low key on, everybody's on high alert, keeping an eye out. And as you were then brought in to literally a throne room with, the nice plush, carpet rolling all the way up to his chair. There's tapestries on, rolling down off the side. This is like he is literally living a medieval lifestyle as far as the castle's concerned. Gorgeous decor, but I mean, outdated by modern standards.
Did they also take our communicators?
Your communicators, I think, are in your ear.
Yeah, they're in the ear.
Okay.
So unless you made it noticeable and like you were
No.
digging at it or something, no, they wouldn't have taken it.
Cool.
They can't see mine anyway.
Right. So you, your group, the five of you walk in, and he's now sitting at his throne very casually. And he says, well, what brings the children of my nemesis to my doorstep this day?
Impressive that your fully aware of our relationship to Electrum then? Was that from the gauntlet we've provided to you, or did something else tip you off?
I am master of these lands, and there is little that enters it that I do not know.
Still very impressive. With that said, Baron Damocles, we humbly ask for assistance with regards to trying to infiltrate the nearby location of Transnistria. How much of the world's events, especially with regards to extraterrestrials, are you aware of?
So you can tell behind, because it's a faceplate, not an actual like full-on helmet like Doctor Doom sort of thing. So it's a faceplate that kind of sits on. By the way, I put the picture in the Facebook chat so you guys would know what the actual physical appearance, what he looks like. But you can tell he kind of raises his eyebrow and he says, "There is much that I know, but the alien life forms, I do not. Perhaps we could parley."
What information would you want for the information we require?
All of it, of course. Although I am interested to know why you wish to go to some sort of backwater nation such as Transnistria.
It's come to our knowledge that there may be individuals there who are experimenting on superpowered beings, humans, and are planning on using them in order to act as living weapons against other aliens from other worlds.
Interesting. Normally I would say poppycock to such things, but there is an air of honesty coming from you that I detect. And an odd sense of nobility. I do not like that in normal occasions. Very well, we may parley. You provide me everything that you understand and know definitively of our alien friends. I will assist you in this. Lightbringer, give me an empathy check. Or not empathy, psyche check.
Baron, may I ask you a somewhat personal question?
So long as it does not bore.
You obviously know that we are empowered beings. Are you as well, or is this merely technology? I mean no offense, but I'm curious.
So he takes a moment, raises his hand like this, and lifts you all the way up to the rafters.
Okay.
With ease, mind you.
Yeah.
And he says, "This is how you Americans would say au naturel." And then lets you fall about halfway before, setting you back down.
Okay. And I immediately do an ice pillar as I'm falling. I do an ice pillar to just.
Okay. Brittany got a green feet.
I got a green feet.
Okay.
So then,
just enough to hold me up, though.
I understand you are, of course, quite powerful, so we would do nothing to disrespect you and your power in your own land. We can provide you with as much information as we know. Unfortunately, with regard to the aliens, it's not an extreme amount, but it is significant. So far, there are 2 alien races on our world that we know of, the Tavaxians and the Ubari. These races have been at war with each other, and the Tavaxians have been winning handily. In fact, it could be said they're close to winning this war they have. The ship you may have heard of, that most of the world has heard of, that's in orbit around Earth, is Tavaxian in nature. But it seems that some Ubari mercenaries used their own smaller vessels to bypass the Devaxians, land on Earth, near or within Transnistria, and begin their plot to use empowered humans against their Devaxian enemies.
Okay, and so as you're explaining that, Brittany,
Green.
yes, I heard.
Okay.
You are picking up the worried thoughts of someone who doesn't speak your language. Almost as if it would be very similar. You've experienced this before when you were trying to get a grip on your telepathy, when you would like walk through crowds and randomly hear random thoughts. That's ultimately what you're picking up. But somebody is obviously mulling over in their head. They're very concerned, and it's in a language you don't understand.
Can I pinpoint the direction that it's coming from?
Not with a green feed. Would you like to try and drill down on that?
Sure. Just roll again.
Roll again. Use your psyche. Rolling, rolling, rolling.
Yellow.
Nice.
Okay. It's coming from beneath you somewhere.
That's very strange.
Not for a castle.
I was going to say dungeon.
Yeah.
That might have been your first thought of it being strange, and then realizing you're in a castle. Yeah, it's probably a dungeon.
Are we on the first floor?
Yes.
Are these walls stone?
Yes.
So whatever is perceiving this conversation is perceiving it through stone.
You can't make out what's being said. You're just picking up on a distressed mental voice. So you don't know if it has anything to do with anything in this room or above them or whatnot. You're just picking up distressed thoughts.
Okay, and our comms, remind me, like,
You can
if I were to
sub-vocalize if
use-
you want.
So if I were to use that, he wouldn't pick up on it.
Shouldn't, unless he has extraordinarily good hearing.
Okay, I'll go ahead and say someone underneath us is distressed.
And Hyperion will like pause in his description for a moment and sub-vocalize in return. Is it something we need to look into? Do you have more information?
Not yet. I'll put some feelers out.
Understood. So then, out loud, he continues to explain. The Devaxians themselves, as you could imagine, seem to have a definite edge over the Ubari. But the Ubari are using what capabilities they have to give themselves an advantage, but using human beings, superpowered human beings.
And
Have you
where are
heard-
these Ubari at?
It's possible that the Ubari, at least some of them, may be within Transnistria or close to that region. Hence why we're looking for the information on how to infiltrate that region to successfully snuff out what exactly they're up to and how to defeat them.
So then is it fair to say you operate illegally against the Russian Federation?
We would not be entering through normal channels if that is what you're asking. But when it comes to ethics and morality, we do what we do in order to prevent extra bloodshed and possibly destruction of our own world. We believe that's how important
the
this
American
is.
morals. Do you eat your vitamins as well?
Funny you should ask me that specifically. Technically, no, but I understand what you mean. I understand this may sound hypocritical. However, if you yourself were aware that there was an incredible threat that was going to injure, harm, or destroy your land, would you not do everything in your power, even if it was against another nation's laws, in order to prevent that destruction and save your people?
You are assuming I cannot already bend him to my will.
Do you know of a being known as Tyrex the Tyrant?
Yes, the visitor from another planet that Electrum fought many years ago.
We believe he may return relatively soon. And the extraterrestrials I've been mentioning, they are inhibiting our ability to protect ourselves from Tyrex should he return.
Go ahead and roll your popularity at a 0.
Right. Okay, 0. How do I do that?
I think it's shift 0.
You're right. Yeah, S0. Here we go. S0. Let's see here. Boy, hey, you guys think it'd be okay if we spend 65 karma to make this work? That way we would get at least a green result on a shift 0?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike, you're muted.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. And that's what we're spending.
Okay.
Do that. Okay, so 65 plus 80, that gets us a red feet then.
Wow.
Nice, Dale. Nice.
Better safe than sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Way better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
He says, so your father did not dispatch him as would be led to believe.
Not entirely. He did defeat him and forced him and his forces to retreat. Apparently, he's been licking his wounds all these years and is gathering his forces yet again.
Interesting. And it would seem that your sister looks distressed over my visitor.
She has mentioned that she's detecting somebody. Should we be concerned?
I don't know. Are you normally concerned for the individuals in my dungeon?
What manner of visitor is in your dungeon, sir?
He is what you would call an illegal alien.
Of the extraterrestrial type?
No, he has come from planet Earth. I would believe you would call the country North Korea.
Oh.
Do you understand Korean?
No.
Out of character. Hyperion's like, give me a minute.
And y'all all thought it was going to be Freddy who would mess up something like this.
Do you have a dictionary?
No, we don't exactly get those sorts of things in my country because we're unrecognized. Oddly enough, we do have Circle K.
Oh, man.
Which that's actually in real life. Like if you zoom in on that town, like right on the outskirts of one of their main roads, there's a Circle K. No idea
That's
why.
hilarious.
But it's what it is.
Right.
So
is there something... Oh,
go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, is there something we can do with regard to your friend from North Korea?
Oh, I see. You wish to save this individual. American altruism again, yes?
We would save anyone regardless of their country of origin. If they are
That
in
is
need.
exactly what the Electrum would say. You are no doubt his children. Very well, we will continue negotiating. You have provided me with details about these extraterrestrials. What else do you have to offer? I am not unreasonable, man.
I see that your idyllic country does not possess much in the way of modern technology. Is there anything that your country needs that it's been lacking?
So good of you to ask. From what I understand, you have an association with this Quantum Unlimited, yes?
Was there something from that company you were hoping to acquire?
No, of course, since you are so open to negotiations, perhaps we could receive 10 of those new drives that you are marketing and throw in some these med scanners that my men seem to have come across. As I said, I am not unreasonable.
Jerome, would we have that stuff like in supply back at
You
Quantum
actually
Unlimited?
would as of this point. Like, it's only been like a week, because remember, we had that conversation a little while ago about how Donovan was, was having the company build up back stock to get it back out on the market to start making up for that shortfall. So you actually just now have it.
Okay.
How many drives and how many med
So then he
scanners?
says,
Let's make 10 of each. Simple math.
that can be arranged. We can acquire that for you within a short period of time. Was there anything else that you needed?
Don't you wish to continue negotiations? What do you know of Senia?
Unfortunately, relatively little, other than, of course, what most countries know, which would be that they have been running illegal human trafficking trades throughout the world, America included, South America,
These
seemingly everywhere.
I'm already aware of. Do you have nothing closer to home? More juicy, as they might say.
Beyond that information, everything else that we know, unfortunately, is hearsay, other than their association with an ex-Nazi regime known as the Remnants. Have you ever heard of them?
I have heard of them, yes. They had ties to Argentina, yes?
Correct. It seems that there were fronts, at least in Argentina, if not multiple countries, where they act as a means of trafficking these superpowered beings, especially to Senia for slave labor, as you could imagine, for their Dravixium.
Interesting. It's good to know. Not exactly helpful, but it's good to know.
Then if we were to provide the items you asked for, what can we expect from you with regard to what we've asked for?
I could find way to smuggle you into Transnistria. You're on your own to get out. But we know ways of getting in and out of these areas.
Then would you want the materials before you provide that assistance?
He says, normally I would say yes. But I am detecting this would weigh heavy upon you should you renege on our deal. Ergo, I will allow it, and you can take the ankle biter off my case anyways. And he motions to his men, says something, in what is probably Polish or Romanian. You're not too entirely certain. And two guards go running off, down some stairs. I will expect these devices here within 2 days, and given the condition of your vessel, it would seem that is no problem.
We should be able to accomplish that.
And what else is it you are seeking about this Transnistria?
Primarily, our goal is to find the Ubari specifically, since they seem to be the ones who are helping Russians and the other individuals nearby with the experimentation on the superpowered beings. Therefore, we need to locate them and whatever vessels they used to arrive on Earth. We plan on disabling those vessels and their communication systems so they can't call for backup, and see if we can apprehend the Ubari themselves and stop their operations.
I see. And what if I made you secondary offer?
Which would be?
As you might know, Moldova lays claim to this region. They say it is theirs, but their attempt to reclaim was thwarted by Russian forces. This has gone on now for many years. So much so that the Russians, they got comfy. They see it as home. It is displaced communism. I do not care for communism. And seeing as this would align with your goals, as you are seeking to topple this illicit black market, no? Perhaps you could topple the regime of Transnistria, return it to its rightful owners. Admittedly, I may be put out. There are certain things that the black market provides that we could use here, but overall it is Soviet forces and occupation of other lands. This does not sit well with me.
She's going to sub-vocalize. Wouldn't that cause a war between the Russians and states, since we're from the states?
That would depend on how we approach that. If we were to be clandestine in our efforts, but that is risky. So then Hyperion says out loud, what would you offer if we were to accomplish this removal of those forces?
Continued visitation rights within my country, giving you access to me, and I would also put you in touch with Moldovan government. Which, if you are tied to this Quantum Unlimited, they too are quite behind on the times. Fertile land for corporation to grow. Very much money to be made. They're also not a part of this new European Union. Meaning you would bypass many of the European laws. Free to spread capitalism.
The goal, of course, is not necessarily capitalism, but to make sure that the people of the world have what they need in order to succeed and thrive. And we find that through technology, that can be more easily done.
Well, then let me pose this to you. If Russia, at any point, does what it is that they say you're going to do, what do you think comes of Moldova?
They would, of course, not stand a chance.
That is correct. They are great for wine. Best wine in Europe. Wine does not win wars.
Would you give me and my team a few moments to discuss this particular offer?
Of course. You may have 30 minutes to discuss. Please take side room.
Thank you.
He motions off to the side. The guards, walk over open up a door. It's actually near the front of the castle itself. Probably, an old guard post or something. Not terribly big, but it's obviously away from everybody else. Gives you some privacy.
Should we do this sub-vocally? She's asking that sub-vocally.
Probably.
What is the lighting in this
Responding
castle?
subvocally, yes, even though we have this extra room, that would be prudent. So I'll go in, make sure the door
What
is
is-
closed.
What is the lighting in this castle?
Subvocally.
Is it electrical?
Yeah.
So,
Lighting is electrical, yes.
okay. So, thoughts on the secondary offer?
It makes me uncomfortable.
Am I tied in with this conversation?
You will be, yes. You probably would have heard that.
The answer is no. We are not toppling governments. We're a dictator.
Yeah, I'm uncomfortable with that as well.
I mean, even if we were comfortable doing it, the PR that it could possibly generate would be horrible,
And it could
Can you
it-
imagine Meredith trying to spin this one?
right?
I do
and-
agree that the public relations viewpoints
True.
would be ill
Understandable.
in our favor. But
I wonder if there would be anything to gain, not really from a Quantum Unlimited standpoint, but in actually helping the Moldovans.
I have a tendency to wonder, though.
But it seems as though what we would do would be too far outside of our political reach.
Dale, can you see Derek?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, because I can hear you. It just sounded like you guys were almost talking over one another.
Can Dale hear me?
Oh, whoops. Sorry. I had a mute there for some. Sorry about that.
Oh,
Go ahead. Sorry.
Forget the PR optics. This is
Yeah.
morally wrong.
I agree with that part of this, but I am conflicted to see why, especially you, Angler, that this oppressive government seems to parallel in some ways the Nazi regime. And you were, what is this terminology? Hell bent on opposing them at all costs. It
You need to
seems that
study our history a little bit better, but it's not just a tyrannical regime that was going on.
I do understand that, but human trafficking, regardless of the status of those humans, is seemingly
If you would like to
almost
have
as atrocious as the elimination of a race.
if you would like to have where on the morality scale human trafficking versus a genocide is, we can have that at a later date. We're looking at 25 minutes left. And not only from a PR optics perspective, but from a right and wrong perspective, it is wrong to topple a government, send its citizens into chaos for decades for financial gain, which is what he was offering. Financial gain for toppling a regime that will put its citizens in peril for decades, for generations, possibly for hundreds of years.
At the expense of empowered beings being trafficked.
Again, we can talk about that later, but he's not offering that. What he is saying is if we take out the current regime, we could come in as Quantum Unlimited and just make bank off of selling them better technology.
That
I'm
wasn't
not
the only
considering-
thing he offered.
That's actually not what he offered.
That's what it sounded like to Freddie.
Nope. I'm going to point this out of character because I know there's been some instances where either people aren't hearing it or they take something wrong in character or out of character and it goes in character. As he indicated, This is a splinter group that broke away from Moldova. In real life, this actually happened. And they basically said, no, we don't want to be a part of you. We're going to go do our own thing, and Russia backed them. And he's telling you basically stick it to these people that Russia backed so Moldova can come in, and now you work with Moldova. Because Transnistria wouldn't even be there anymore.
So he wants us to topple not the main government, some splinter faction. Okay.
Yep.
Kind of like how we took out ISIS.
Yes, exactly like what America has done in modern day with a very, very specific group of people that's not gone. This is not something we can make in a decision that we can make in 30 minutes. We always have the ability to come back and do it later.
Well,
do you think that's true? Do you think there will be a later?
I don't know.
Then what you said beforehand is invalid. If you don't know, don't present it as possible evidence. Instead, what we do know is that there is a regime, an illegal one, that is controlling individuals. We do have an opportunity to stop them. Regardless of what we would gain, if there would be anything to gain through Quantum Unlimited, one thing we can gain is to make sure that the Moldovans have their people back in their land, as well as having access to Baron Damocles as a possible ally. And with how extremely powerful he's already demonstrated himself to be, that could be an excellent ally to have if we needed to fight directly against Tyrex.
Yeah, we guess we gotta kind of look at the bigger picture.
We
I understand
would not even have to take advantage of the business opportunities that he gave us.
True.
Though it is tempting in its own right, that is not something that we would need to do.
That could even be... Sorry, go ahead.
We could do this if we decided to, or in some fashion, as an action of the greater good.
Those are effectively my thoughts as well.
Yeah, if it's a splinter group, that
since y'all are the ones on ground, it will always be your decision. But understand what you are doing is not a simple one and done thing.
Hyperion. How do you estimate the success of us doing this?
It would seem that the regime itself is not necessarily comprised of superpowered beings or advanced technology. Therefore, we may be able to either handily defeat them, or at least devise a relatively decent tactical strategy to force them to surrender.
And if the Russians get involved?
That will be the issue. However, if the Russians were to get involved, they would have taken, I would think, a greater stance. They seem to be supporting this regime without having a direct impact. If the regime were to fall, that connection falls.
well, they have to have some kind of way to suppress these superpowered beings. So we'd have to be careful of whatever they're using there.
Yes, we've already experienced that before.
It clearly won't be easy, but I think it could be doable, given what we see with the technological existence as it is in the area here. we could presume that it would be similar where we'd be fighting, which is less than what we're used to, quite frankly, and virtually nothing compared to what Moshpit has experienced in his life.
Yeah. Billy says, screw it. I'm in.
Can anyone
Okay.
else?
Okay.
Are we agreeing then on accepting this offer to see if we can defeat the regime?
It sounds to me like the pros outweigh the cons. So I don't know by how much, but that's something I'm willing to find out.
We can also, because of how this individual is, the Baron, I mean, we can put it with the premise that we might decide to do business with him. But it is not a guarantee, because I would hate for this to be a guaranteed opportunity for him to have Quantum Unlimited's resources in his country if we should not decide to do so.
It would seem
After
that's what
this.
he's after.
I mean, don't get me wrong. This guy worries me because he's just colossally arrogant, narcissistic, thinks he's all powerful and all that. So
Additionally, go ahead.
that was it.
Oh, additionally, I think it's maybe worth mentioning that he knows a lot about us, more than anyone at home does, and that makes me worried. It also makes me think maybe we need to try not to make him angry in case he decides to get back at us with information that he has.
We could
Yeah,
put forth the question of what does he know of us,
he knows we
though
are
he may
electrons.
though he may not know the extent, and not to say that he would tell all that he knows, but we could also probe to see where his sources are.
Yeah, that's a good point. It doesn't seem like he is that, on top of,
World events.
right. Not that that's where he would have gotten that information, but it's just a matter of,
We call ourselves Legacy
yeah.
more as a personal reference to our legacy being a legacy of Electrum, not advertising such.
That would seem to be something we could acquire if we were to do this for him. He would likely be much more willing to provide information and help us.
I would just hate for this to turn out into another Argentina fiasco.
Yeah.
And the Justice Legion shows up again.
There are clear differences here, however. In Argentina, they clearly possessed technology that separated us from the world with regard to the anti-teleportation field. And when that occurred, Jurgen Albrecht and his forces detected that, and in response sent their forces. That would be unlikely to occur here.
I wonder what the Baron's relations are with Jurgen. We have not breached that with him at all.
I was curious about that as well.
He is in the general vicinity. Planetarily speaking, anyway.
And doubtless, if he has had run-ins with Electrum, I'm sure he was I mean, it's their contemporaries, so I'm sure he would have been familiar with Reichshield as well.
In your conversations with your grandfather, has he ever mentioned his dealings, if any, with Baron Damocles?
Mm-mm.
Well, with that said, as Mosh Pit put, it seems the pros outweigh the cons. So unless there are any other major objections...
One last thing before I sign off and go about the rest of my day. Understand that you are literally getting involved in basically a land war. So all of the actions that come afterwards is solely on our shoulders. And that includes the deaths of the civilians that will come from a power vacuum.
Well, it won't be so much of a power vacuum because their original government would be coming in.
Except for the remnants who will want to stay around and fight against them.
Okay, but if we just allow this to continue,
I'm making sure that we are aware of the actions going forward.
Okay.
That there is no, oops, I did not know that destabilizing a region of the world would cause so many deaths.
yeah, look, there's no easy choice here. If we don't
You're absolutely right.
If we don't do anything, it's probably worse. That's my guess. I mean, these people aren't experimenting on superpowered beings for nothing. They're not doing it because they're curious.
Perhaps we should follow suit with the senator. Ask for forgiveness.
Oh, okay.
Rather than permission.
Don't suggest I start acting like a politician.
Yeah, and I was like, we don't have time to call him. This is not something we need to call him about.
Angler, I do appreciate your input. And clearly, we are not taking this lightly. Lives will be at stake no matter what. But I believe it's better to act than not, especially when lives are at stake.
Yeah.
Right then. It seems then we are at least in a general agreement. We will do what the Baron asks.
I would also... I think it's unrealistic that everything will be done in 2 days.
Oh. Yeah.
So we need a longer time frame from him.
Well, I thought the 2 days was just to deliver the tech.
Correct. The 2 days is to deliver the technology it requires, the 10 T drives and 10 med scanners.
Yeah.
I'll put that order in when I get back to the office.
Excellent. Thank you.
You let me know as soon as it's ready because I could pop in and pop back.
We'll want to make sure we have permission to teleport in.
Into his domain.
Just right, just as a precaution.
Excellent.
I will not be coming here by myself. One of you will be going with me.
Fair enough.
Right then. So then Hyperion stands up.
Yep.
And he heads to the door, opens it up to go talk to the Baron again.
And files out behind him.
He has a big chalice at this point, which is filled with wine.
Of course he does.
Yep. And you're awaiting. And you see
swirling it around.
You see a Korean individual, little on the pale side, in kind of ragged clothing, little dirty and a little emaciated, now standing here between two guards.
Okay.
Baron, we have come to a decision. We accept your proposal. We will attempt to topple this regime in order to save the civilians there.
Excellent. This is a good idea. Something your father might not have done. Although it is necessary sometimes to take control in your own hand and stop the flow of communism and those who would use it to do what they will.
What information do you have to provide to us regarding this regime?
I will provide that for you tomorrow evening and have some of my men give you a breakdown. That way I can also notify some individuals in Moldova that this is going to be occurring.
Oh, so we are to be your guests for the night?
Yes, I apologize if I did not make that known. I am already currently setting up rooms for you, and you of course may do what you will with Mr. I just gotta find his name again. I hate it when I write notes and then I can't find it in my own notes.
Yeah.
So subvocally, Lightbringer, perhaps we could get the health scanner back from them?
I'll ask.
And Billy would sure like his guitar, although I don't know if they're going to give that back. But I mean, I know they'll give it back at some point, but while we're here.
Yes, you may have your med scanner. I already assumed you was to do some sort of full makeup on Mr. Namawiki Han.
Yeah, I'm not going to attempt that. Can you put that in the chat?
May I ask?
That's pretty much a given.
What he, how he came into your custody?
Don't!
Davey, don't! He says it is a little concerned, but he was former citizen of North Korea, as he tells it, was attempting to escape their oppressive regime when smugglers turned out to be slavers. He was brought into Transnistria, presumably to be sold to Senia or perhaps even Russia. It's currently unknown. He managed to escape and found his way here.
And Hyperion looks to him and says, "Mr. Han, do you speak English?"
And so he looks around and, obviously can tell you said his name, and he just kind of shrugs. And he says, that is no good. He only speaks Korean and he has some broken Chinese.
See.
Perhaps Lightbringer could seek assistance from her grandfather? I am told they have such things to decode languages.
Would
outside of course, the almanac that you previously requested.
It requires input, but
would Billy's phone be able to translate?
Quite possibly.
Billy whips out his phone, pulls up an app.
Voice to text.
Yep. Sets the language. Speaks into it.
Okay.
Do you understand me? Waits for it to do its thing.
Okay. So it generates Korean characters.
Shows him the phone.
So he kind of, the guy kind of looks down and so with that, now Baron Damocles is leaning in himself, like looking at this phone. That clearly does things that no other phone
we've
should
created
be
a monster.
Yes.
that was a mistake.
And so he looks at that and he nods affirmative, but of course he's completely puzzled at the technology he's looking at.
Right. So then Billy sets it to do the reverse, and he holds it up to his, face like mouth.
Okay. So he says his name, and then he just asks, "Who are all of you?"
He's asking who we are.
You can
We
tell
are the
him
legacy.
exactly.
Okay. So Billy confers that, we're the legacy. Apparently you're going to be traveling with us for a bit.
And so we don't have to role play out the looking back and forth and whatnot. But he kind of looks at himself, and then through the device, he's like, "Well, I'm not really dressed for this. I'm not well, and I still don't understand how I'm out of my cell. Did you buy me?"
No. You. How do I put this? You
We've
were
negotiated his
assigned
freedom.
to us. Yeah, sure. I'll tell him. Yeah, we've negotiated your freedom, and we can probably help you with the clothing part, I think. And he looks back at the rest of the team.
We should be able to accommodate.
Okay.
Out of character. Don't look at me.
I'm just, that Billy's just thinking that ship is huge. There's got to be something extra in there.
Nope.
You will need to
No clothes.
let him know that there will be a point where he will need to be blindfolded. Because we cannot allow him to see the ship.
Okay. I'm just the messenger. So
I mean, he,
Billy
shrugs. He doesn't really seem to care one way or the other. He's more concerned with like how exactly you guys negotiated what he has to, what he has to do, and that sort of thing. Like, because again, he doesn't understand exactly what's going on. But you guys figure it out, sort of, to the extent that he's not like paranoid. He's still nervous, but not like completely paranoid. Some clothing is brought for him. It's of course of European flair and older, textile designs, hardy designs built for the region.
Okay.
And all of you are given rooms respectively. The rooms themselves look like they're cleaned regularly, but they definitely are not used regularly. He does not entertain hardly at all. So it is a big deal that he is putting you up.
Nice.
And also tells you that he will be having a feast to welcome you into his home. You are all required to attend, and it will be taking place at 8 p.m.
Okay.
Okay, so once I get up to their rooms, again, she's going to sub-vocalize. What are we going to do with our +1 when we head out?
I have no idea.
I mean,
We
we're
may
going to
be
be...
able to negotiate the temporary housing for him while we do this.
Because I can't take him to Aegis as a, somebody who's looking for sanctuary, because then I would have to explain how I got him.
We also don't know if he is empowered or not.
Also, he doesn't speak any language of any countries that we're associated with, so I think it would be more prudent to get him somewhere where he can more easily start a new life.
You have the med scanner. You can find out if he's empowered.
Oh, that's true. Did he give us back our stuff?
Yeah,
Yes.
he did.
With the exception of the gauntlet.
Okay,
Perhaps
then while we were still. Wait, so is Mr. Han with us now?
Yeah, he's just kind of quietly following anyone who happens to walk near him because he doesn't know what he's supposed to be doing.
Okay, we don't know what he's supposed to be doing either.
Perhaps we should ask him where it was he was going before he was taken by the smugglers.
Where he was trying to go.
Yes. And maybe we can take him there.
Billy?
We can.
Sorry. Billy digs out the phone and basically just hands it to Sean.
I just have to comment something. I'm not seeing Billy's lips move at all.
Can you hear him?
Oh yeah,
Okay. So,
but
He's
like, I thought he
vocalizing.
was I thought he was lagging, or I think maybe he was, but because I saw him laugh, like I mean, just for instance, like right now, all of a sudden he just like ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
But
That's gotta be lag.
the audible wasn't there. But now while he's sitting there, and then in the last few minutes, I have not seen his lips move at all.
yeah, it happens sometimes.
I'm not seeing his lips move either.
Yeah, your connection and Brittany's connection has been dipping because you're on Wi-Fi.
Mine?
Yep.
Oh.
Occasionally.
Okay.
And so that's going to happen sometimes when you're dealing with other people in the group. Sometimes you might see that freeze, you might not see them at all.
Have
Oh
you?
no,
have-
he's moving. He's moving, but his lips are not.
Yeah,
Like,
it's the way the codec like actually deals with all the images and
mhm.
stuff. It looks like.
Oh, okay.
Or
It's a special talent I have.
He's
that I'm just messing
subvocalizing.
with you.
he's a ventriloquist.
Yes.
Yeah, he's sub-vocalizing.
There you go.
So she's
Someone is
Sorry.
controlling his body.
Squirrel. But yeah.
she's going to look at the device and then look at Billy with the
Billy-
arched
Billy's like,
eyebrow.
all you have to do is press that little button and speak into it.
Where is it that you were wanting to go when you left your country?
And Billy taps the button again and he goes, now you just show it to him.
Okay. So you show it to him and he kind of looks back at you and he speaks into it. And when it translates to English, he says, I don't understand. Why do I want turkey?
What?
Billy looks at it and he's like, he breathes back, tries it again. Where do you want to go?
Okay, so he looks at it and he's getting kind of used to you shoving it in his face to speak into it, and it's supposed to get, so he's kind of getting the flow of it. And when he replies back, it says, I was attempting to get to America, but what does that have to do with turkey?
Forget the turkey. That was a glitch, a mistake from the technology.
Okay, so he looks at that and he just goes, oh.
It's not perfect.
Ask him if he knows anyone in America.
Okay.
If he was
So,
getting to a person.
so you and he said, and so he replies, no. He's just, it's not uncommon for people from North Korea, if they can sneak out, they will try to get out through a Chinese corridor, and then sail across to wherever they can get to that's not there.
Just vanish.
Yep.
So ask him if he's got super abilities.
Well, Brittany already.
Yeah, I'll just do the scanner.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I'm
We'll
not going to make
assess
you.
his wounds
I'm not
and
going to make
also-
you roll for it.
Okay.
You scan him. Yeah, he's definitely malnutritious. He definitely needs some, food and water. He could probably use some vitamins as well. So he's deficient there. He does register with the deviant gene, so he does have something.
Do you say that to us?
Yeah. I will say that out loud. Yeah. I'm picking up the deviant gene.
You want me to
His
ask
scan.
him?
Ask what he can do.
All right. Mosh Pit poses that question.
Okay,
What is
so-
it that you are capable of doing?
He says in Korea I did a lot of hard labor. I'm also a farmer.
Ask what his superpower is.
What is your superpower?
So he looks at that and he's like, then he kind of like looks back and forth. If you guys were not in costume, you probably wouldn't be replying. You can tell he's very hesitant of this, but he looks over and to like something metal on nearby, and he extends his hand and you start to see it start coming towards him.
Whoa. All right.
Well, perhaps it won't be such a hindrance if he's with us after all.
Right.
This is
Well-
likely why he was about to be sold either to Russia or Senia. They wouldn't want a non-empowered being. Well, his nutrition should at least be handled by the 8 o'clock feast, hopefully.
Yeah.
So, should we explain to him exactly who we are and why we're freeing him?
We should. That way he's fully aware of what's happening.
Do you want us to role play that out?
No.
Okay.
So you do the best you can, relaying it back and forth to reiterate to him kind of what's going on and who you are, at this point in time. So that is where we're going to stop for the evening, because we had almost a full 3 hours in there. So Angler, what we're going to do is I will get with you outside of game to kind of discuss some of the things that you were doing, like in this interim. With the discussion
Gotcha.
with the lady from the museum and whatnot. Okay, so coming up, so next week on Wednesday, we have our Cyberpunk game coming up, which will be at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We should have, barring any schedule issues, we should have Street Fighter, 7 p.m. on Thursday. And then next Saturday, we're going to be having our Vampire the Masquerade Blood Ties game coming up. So hopefully you guys will tune in for that as well. It's a lot of fun. I know Davey's excited about it. Get to find out just what happens after Elysium and what's going to be happening during the Blood Ties game. So thank you guys all for tuning in, hanging out with us, and hopefully you'll catch it on the replay or catch us on YouTube, where we download or upload, I should say, all our videos. And I hope you guys have a good night. Good night, guys.
Night-night.
Take care.
Blink.